Welcome back to the show, everyone. Today, we are going to look at some memorable and impactful women of film. Before starting, I just want to go ahead and state that this list is in no particular order, just my opinion, and it's going to be about a two-part video. For the sake of timing, I'm not going to talk too long on each subject, otherwise this could wind up being like a 4-hour video. I'm an older man. I ain't got no 4 hours in me anymore, if ever. Now that that's all taken care of, let's get on with the list. Starting off with number 1 is Mrs. Brisby from Don Bluth's The Secret of Nim, or Mrs. Frisbee with an F if you're like me and you read the book. She's a field mouse who not long after her husband's death now has to deal with her child Timmy, who is very sick with pneumonia. Unable to move her family as the nearby farmer threatens her home, she embarks on her quest involving to speak to a wise owl despite her fears of being eaten, finding a way to sabotage the farmer's machinery without being killed, confronting the same cat that killed her husband, and dealing with highly intelligent rats that initially dismiss her because they claim to have their own problems. She demonstrates a realistic sense of bravery despite the risk. This is all for the purpose of saving her family. Number 2 is Lisa from Weird Science. Created from a doll by two nerdy teenage guys and played by Kelly LeBrock, Lisa is highly intelligent, humorous, and possesses the power of cinema conveniency. I mean, this lady can freeze people, create cars, transform people into things. Yet, despite this, she is very caring and protective of her two creators, and I've never met anyone who's seen the movie and say they dislike her, changing what could have been a horny modern version of I Dream of Jeannie and make it a sweet, charming story. Number 3, Hattie McDaniel. Being the first Black American woman to win the Academy Award 12 years after its conception, she got it for playing the role of Mammy for the movie Gone with the Wind. Aside from other roles, she also played in Disney's first ever live-action movie, Song of the South. Always an eye-drawing presence on screen, Hattie McDaniel cemented herself in cinema history. Number 4 is Princess Daisy from the movie Super Mario Bros. I know this movie is considered trash amongst lots of people. I, however, honestly and unironically love it. Mwah! And I'm happy to place the character of Princess Daisy on this list due to her being the first ever female protagonist from a video game in a live-action theatrical movie. Played by Samantha Mathis, she is also the first hero character from the games on the screen. Not bad, considering her character was not even from the mainline games, but the portable Game Boy games. I wonder if we'll ever see that character again in a movie. Number 5, Greta Gerwig. Actress and director Greta Gerwig, known for directing Oscar-nominated Lady Bird, Little Women, and Barbie. She is one of 5 women to be nominated for Best Director and the first woman to solo direct a movie that grossed over $1 billion with Barbie. Accomplishing another feat, making a movie based on a toy line primarily targeted to girls that became a box office smash that all could enjoy. Heading on to number 6, it's the Sanderson sisters from Hocus Pocus. Back in 1993, Hocus Pocus was released and bombed at the box office. I honestly remember seeing the trailer for Hocus Pocus when I went to see the Mario Brothers movie back in theaters in '93. Despite not being an initial smash, these 3 witches, Winifred, Mary, and my personal favorite, Sarah, have survived obscurity and remain relevant thanks to their hilarious, unique personalities, all brought to life by Bette Midler, Kathy Najimy, and Sarah Jessica Parker. So much so that a sequel was released on streaming almost 30 years later and was a big hit, securing younger generations could enjoy it as well. Number 7 is Cree Summer. Actress and voice artist Cree Summer is someone that if you've watched the majority of animation, you've most likely heard her voice in some capacity. For me, seeing Cree first time was on the sitcom A Different World, where she played the character Freddy. However, a few years later, one of my favorite cartoons of all time, Tiny Toon Adventures, I remember watching it and found out that she was the voice of Elmira Duff, which blew my mind as a kid when I saw a clip of her doing the voice.
Aw, he's asleep.
I remember it being like a switch had turned on in my head, which suddenly led me to start paying more attention to the casting of people during the end credits of programs and movies. It was sort of like a part of me was trying to figure out who would I discover next. I noticed she was Penny from Inspector Gadget, played in the Care Bears movies, Number 5 from Kids Next Door, Foxy Love from Drawn Together, Keita from Atlantis, and many, many more. Number 8 is Kathryn Bigelow, a producer, writer, director of classics such as Blue Steel, Point Break, and Near Dark. At least those are classics to me. She became the first woman to receive the Academy Award for Best Director for the movie The Hurt Locker, and even got a second one for Best Picture. Number 9, Elizabeth Touye. I hope I said that right. That's a name you unfortunately may not recognize, and a face, as of this video, we can't see. Seriously, there is no known photos or video of this woman or her daughter, and it's unfortunate given what they've done for cinema. She is one of the chief pioneers of bringing color to film starting in 1897. Elizabeth, her daughter Berth, and their staff, all of which were women, would hand paint each film strip frame by frame. We can see this in George Mueller's A Trip to the Moon, among others. Thanks to their experimental techniques, we have color films today. Number 10 is Jess Bradford from Black Christmas, the first true final girl of a horror movie. Now, I would put Lila Crane from Psycho in this category, but I feel Jess has more to do instead of just crying, and is more proactive as being the hero of the story. That could be for better or worse if you've seen the movie. Number 11 is Black Widow from the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. Regardless of the quality of the more recent films, the MCU is one of the biggest financial franchises in cinema history. Gotta give some love to the first lady hero of the franchise, Natasha Romanoff, aka Black Widow. Technically, I know that really Pepper Potts could be considered that honor. However, I feel she doesn't do any on-screen heroism really until Iron Man 3 and Avengers Endgame, so I'm kind of leaving her out of that. In Iron Man 2, however, Scarlett Johansson brought the character to life in this movie with intrigue, badassery, and you never felt she was shoehorned in a scene, or in my opinion, was ever boring. She does all this without any superpowers, by the way, making that epic shot in the first Avengers movie all the more cool. I mean, she's going toe-to-toe with villains that are giving even the Hulk a tough time. Whether having red in her ledger or that infamous Budapest event. Number 12 is Gertie the Dinosaur from the short of the same name. Released in 1914, she is the first fully animated character to have a distinct personality and to, well, act. She bows, cries, dances, picks on a woolly mammoth, all this directed by Winsor McKay, the same creator of Little Nemo. Gertie was also the first animated depiction of a dinosaur on film. She influenced other animators and filmmakers such as the Fleischer Brothers, Walter Lantz, and Walt Disney. Believe it or not, this isn't the only dinosaur that's on this list. Number 13, Marge Simpson from The Simpsons. The longest animated primetime American series works so well because of fun, unique characters and writing, especially those early seasons. Marge, being the matriarch of the family, has to deal with being the voice of reason to her husband Homer and their kids Bart, Lisa, and Maggie, although sometimes that does fall on Lisa given the episode. I placed her on this list because I honestly felt Marge was always depicted to be the most real, normal person of this wacky show. She is not a goody two-shoes, she can fall to temptation like everyone else, yet she is very loving to her family. Julie Kavner gave her one of the most recognizable voices of media where we initially laugh at it, but afterwards we get accustomed to it and can tell it's not a cheap gag. I noticed this especially in the Simpsons movie where she leaves a goodbye video to Homer, and you can hear the sincerity of that goodbye. Apparently it took a number of takes to get that reaction.
And I overlooked these things because...
Because?
Well, that's the thing. I just don't know how to finish that sentence anymore.
Number 14, Princess Leia Organa from Star Wars Saga. One of the leaders of the Rebel Alliance, and many sci-fi fans' first crush. Played by the late great Carrie Fisher, she captivates a commanding attitude while still showing displays of romantic passion. I feel, as far as space movies go, even if you never watched the Star Wars movie, she could still sneakily pop in your head whenever anyone thinks of sci-fi characters. May the Force be with you. Number 15, Rita Moreno, the first Hispanic woman to win an Oscar. Now, honestly, the first of anything that I've seen Rita Moreno from was from the 90s. I was a kid, and it was the Where on Earth is Carmen Sandiego Saturday morning cartoon where she played the titular character. Sometime later, I eventually watched West Side Story and enjoyed it. As I got more into learning about the behind the scenes of film, much like Cree Summer, that's when I discovered the connection and her historical status. Being the third person and second woman to be an EGOT, that's Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony winner, for those who don't know. She's a woman of high range, from playing her Oscar-winning Anita performance to being on The Electric Company, Singing in the Rain, and many others, including The Muppet Show, where she won her Emmy. Number 16, ending part 1 of this video with Littlefoot's mother from The Land Before Time, another Don Bluth film. There is a majority of kids who grew up in the 80s and early 90s that if you bring this movie up, they may think of Sharptooth, but they will always think of Littlefoot's mother. Spoiler here if you have not watched the movie. She sees her son and his soon-to-be friend Sarah getting attacked and fights back bravely, getting fatally hurt in the process. As she dies, she tells him how she'll be with him even if he can't see her, and reminds him to continue to their promised land, the Great Valley. Littlefoot calling out to her as she passes on into the night. I know grown-ups that won't watch this movie at all based on this scene alone. For me, it was painful, but I felt it was the scenes afterward that hurt a little more. Those scenes being Littlefoot not eating, being deceived by his own shadow, thinking it's his mother, the conversation with Rooter, realizing that her loss was not his fault. Heavy stuff. And for one character to cause an impact like this for millions, definitely should be acknowledged on this list. Well, that does it for now. Hope I was able to bring up some historical and fictional characters you may not have known about, showing some abridged versions of what makes them important in the world of film. Let me know of any more that you feel should be added and why in the comments down below. Please like or dislike the video. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you all next time. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you for part 2 sooner than later. To be continued.
Sure, I may be a psychotic killing machine, but I'm still a woman.